Chief Secretary, Mr. Bantia, the organizer of this conference, Dr. Ravi Gupta, my colleague Rajesh Agarwal, and also the other Agarwal who has come all the way from Delhi, and then distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen. I am very glad that this conference is being organized where the captains of the industry as well as the people who are practitioners in the government, they have come together for 2 days and share their experiences and also perhaps work out, assess their strengths and weaknesses and also work out a strategy as to how to go forward. Now, I'm very glad that particularly when I see Maharashtra, because, I have been, in and around this whole IT world of Maharashtra for last almost a decade now, because, it was sometime in 2004, I was IT secretary, then again in 2009 I became IT secretary here. And then, UID also, I continue to work very closely with Maharashtra. See, I can tell you one very major difference between what I saw in 2004 and what I see in 2013. In 2004, the IT department in a government, a state government, and perhaps it would be true of any state government or any government department, it was largely basically maintaining IT infrastructure within the confines of Mantralaya. Because, land in Mantralaya, giving PCs to the various secretaries, and that kind of the role the IT department used to provide. But then, since then, we can see where we have travelled, and in fact, I would like to congratulate here Rajesh Agarwal, who has been almost for last 3 years. He has worked tirelessly, and also the Chief Secretary here, because sometimes, can you imagine that how much time our Chief Secretary spends on IT? There is a very simple way to calculate. You find that out of, let's say, time that Chief Secretary has, how much time Rajesh Agarwal and our Chief Secretary, are together in a meeting. And then, one day I found that, almost 40% of the time, Rajesh is in CS meeting. So imagine a Chief Secretary of a state, he's just spending as much as 40%. In fact, sir, please correct me if I am, completely off the mark. But otherwise, my estimate is that he spends 40% of the time, and even, the remaining 60% of the time, he is constantly, after improving the system. And today, you cannot think of improving any system, unless and until you IT. I was discussing with Collector Sindhudurg here, and I was telling him that IT used to be luxury maybe about a decade back. That, okay, all right, I'm doing this IT, I am a collector or I am a secretary and I am taking this initiative. Today, you cannot, IT is not an option, IT is not a luxury. It is a very important tool in your governance, and without this, you cannot govern. If an officer says that, I have done this, I have achieved this, and if he hasn't used proper IT tools, then it means there is something wrong. He is going going in a wrong direction, and, he needs to be corrected. So this is something which, our Chief Secretary has always been emphasizing. And, today, when we say that, Maharashtra is on the forefront of the, in the entire country, it is because of that. I'll give you a small example. Ram Sevak Sharma, who was DG of the UID, and in fact, he started, along with Chairman Nandan Nilekani, he started the whole UID concept, and he has brought UID to this stage when we have already crossed 42 crores of, we have enrolled more than 42 crores of people. And recently, he got transferred as Chief Secretary, Jharkhand. So he joined as Chief Secretary Jharkhand on 1st of April. And do you know what he does after he joins there? There are many states in the country, but he rings me up, he rings Rajesh Agarwal and says that, look, I have joined as a Chief Secretary, and he comes with full contingent of all his secretaries and visits Maharashtra for 2 days, and to understand that, how Maharashtra is, using, e-governance in the, entire development model in the various department systems and so and so, and this he does in the first week of joining. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay, sorry, I have to miss this actually. Sorry.
Thank you, sir. Yes. So, what he So he comes to Maharashtra, and he in the first week of his joining, and this is what he does. So I mean, naturally, while working as the DG of UID, he understood that what Maharashtra has been doing, and it is something which we need to learn. So this is something which already that is where the Maharashtra is. But again, it's not that we should be very complacent that all right, we have reached that level and then that is where we should be. There is always a tremendous scope for further journey in any organization. Similarly, in Maharashtra also, lots of things have to be done, and I can based on my own UID experience, in fact, my perspectives also have changed over the last few years. Today when I see that in terms of technology, in terms of the data storage, in terms of bandwidth today, I still remember that in 2004, 2005, even getting a 64 kbps line was very difficult. Today you have a Wi-Fi, you have a mobile phone, you have a 3G, now the 4G would be coming, so the connectivity is hardly any problem today. Even the rural areas also, I mean, my impression is that wherever a mobile phone is working, there is actually mobile phone is nothing but a compact PC. I mean, in fact, it's more powerful than a PC. So wherever you have that, you can be connected, and then all services can be delivered, the system can be improved. So therefore, the distances, connectivity, those things are not that big an issue as it used to be 10 years back. Similarly, in terms of storage, in terms of computing power, in terms of software, in terms of application, things have improved tremendously. Even about the the manpower, for example, the people who are working in the offices, about 10-15 years back, see the age profile. The people who were there, I mean, they need to be told that, look, they need to be trained that, this is what, the computer applications are, this is how, one has to learn the application. But today, the younger generation, which are joining government jobs, they seem to be quite comfortable with it. They don't require any additional training just to handle computers, right? So basically, we need to capitalize these developments in terms, as a connectivity, data storage, computing power, and the manpower, and take it forward. Another very important thing, once I was observing is, in UID, today, in fact, yesterday's figure I can tell you that we are enrolling 15 lakh people every day all over the country. 15 lakhs, 1.5 million people are getting enrolled for the UID every day. And I'm sure that many of you, you would have got enrolled yourself, right? Now tell me, when you enroll, you give your proof of identity, you give your proof of address, we take your biometrics, we take your photograph, and we also take your iris, right? And also you ask you to fill up the form. The whole process takes about 30 to 35 minutes or maybe 40 minutes some places, or maybe some places 15 minutes, right? I mean, yes, there is a lot of crowd and a lot of improvements can be made, we are aware of that. But imagine, you think of any other government service today, tell me, which, let's say, you apply for pension, for example, or you apply for even passport also, for example. Now, if you see the amount of information that they collect, would not be either vastly, more than what we collect. I mean, pension, I gave an example, passport, I gave an example, or you want to apply for, let us say, your building permission, for example, right? Now there, what do you need to provide? You need to provide, the land details and then also building plan, and then you have to submit to the concerned authorities, right? Now the question is, these are, the some of the, or for example, again, I take example of day-to-day life ration card. When you apply for a ration card, what do you give? You give your proof of residence, and then say that you want a ration card, right? Similarly, if you want to apply for a voter ID card, similarly you give some information and in return you want these services, right? So I was wondering that look, if in case of a UID system you collect so much of information, right, so easily, and then today, we are in most cases, I would say that in 95% of the cases, we are able to generate UID within 15 days, and you are aware that when we generate the UID, how do we generate UID? your data is compared across, everyone in the database. For example, today we have generated around 42 crores UIDs. Whenever you enroll, your fingerprint and your iris and your photographs are matched against the database of entire 42 crore. And then, we decide that, you should be given the UID. So when all these things can be done in 14 to 15 days, and then, today you have a system of eAadhaar, where your UID is posted on the internet, and then you can download that your UID card directly and print it and keep it in your pocket. So if that can be done, then any other government service, perhaps, the same method of data collection, same thing can be done, and then it can be done, and then the services can be offered, right? Because, if you're dealing with an exception, that is all right. But, tell me that when you are applying for electricity connection, if you are applying for a ration card, or if you are applying for the passport, or, many other routine government services, if there is an exception, yes, let it take time. If there is an exception, the UID also takes time. We take 6 months to do that, right? In some 2 or 3% of the cases. But in the most majority of the cases, you should be able to do that. So that is how, the entire e-governance, the service delivery concept has to change. And this is something, great learning, the great, learning that has been provided by the, this UIDAI experiment, that UIDAI itself, yes, one can use UID for improving the services. But this UID model of data collection and then, the service delivery, if that can be replicated elsewhere in the e-governance, other, service delivery project, I think that will be wonderful. I'm told that, there is a particular session on the UID tomorrow, the direct cash transfer on the UID tomorrow. So, that time, we'll talk more in detail about it. And, I would like to congratulate Ravi Gupta and also my colleague Rajesh Agarwal, who is the Secretary IT, for having taken lead in this, organizing this conference, because this provides a platform where, the people can come, think, relax, and then, think about the strategy, in which direction we are going. So I'm very glad that that has been done. Thank you.